morning. Just wanted to start the video off by saying this is probably one of the least entertaining videos that I've put out. Be patient, hang in there, wait 1 minute. It's important to the rest of the process. I don't take out and I don't edit my videos to the point where you don't see real life happen. And in this video, real life happens. I filmed this and got ready to put it up and realized it needed an explanation before the video started. When I say in the video that there was a mistake with the bearings, it was not the actual bearings, it was a mistake. The packing slip in the box was wrong. So that's number one. Number two, you don't see a lot actually happen in this video, but it's because I kind of had to back up and chase my tail a little bit. But I promise you, if you follow this build series, this will get better and it will have more quality content in it. You just got to kind of suffer through the first one. Hey, you know how that goes sometimes. Sometimes things don't go the way you have them planned. In my case, things rarely go like I have them planned. Enjoy, if you can. This would be good bathroom video when you're just sitting there and you need something to do. There you go. All right, today we're going to be working on a customer engine, and this block has already been through the entire cleaning process. Everything's cleaned. If you, I'll get you in here in a minute. You can look. I've numbered, lettered every cap. All the passages are clean and everything. One of the first things I want to do, now I've got to put the freeze plugs in, galley plugs and all that stuff. But one of the first things I want to do is measure my bearing clearances. I want to do that first in case I've got to get new bearings on the way. They can be on the way while I'm doing this other stuff, and I can generally get stuff fairly quickly if it's available. So, first thing I want to do is check for bearing clearances. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do this. Several ways to do this. One is put your bearings in, put your crank in, use plastic gauge, put it down there, crank it down, take it back off and look at it. Or torque it down and crank it back off and look at it. So, I'm not the biggest fan of plastic gauge. Now, it's fine if you want to use it. I typically do not, and here's why. Plastic gauge, despite what a lot of people will tell you, it has a shelf life, so it will kind of get hard on you. Now, you can buy it today, but it might have been sitting on their shelf a year. You know what I mean? So if it gets kind of hard on you, it may not compress the way it's supposed to be. There's room for error is what I'm saying. Another way of doing it, to set up your bore gauge and come in here and actually physically measure and compare it with your crank. Now there's two ways of doing that. One, physically put your bearings in here and measure it. Measure your crank, and that gives you your clearance. Another way to do it is to measure this, measure the crank, and you'll have a number. Then you take the number of the thickness of your bearing is, and you do the math and get it. It's the same way the way you want to do it. There's just some people that prefer to do it one way over other. I'm going to break this video up into multi-parts just so they're not so long and tedious. But one of the things we'll do today is we'll check and measure all of our clearances, our bearing clearances, our main bearing clearances. I will show you how I do that, the entire process, and depending on how long I ramble on, we'll show you some other stuff, but we're going to start with measuring bearing. There's different thought patterns about where a clearance should be set based off a race motor, street engine, and all that. This is pretty much a stock engine. The customer wants a stock rebuild, basically, but there's certain things you have to do that will automatically be overstock. Like we know we had to bore it, so it's not a stock bore anymore. So we know how it had to bore it. We get the opportunity now to set our bearing clearances exactly where we want it, so we're a little better than factory, because nothing's wrong with factory. but they're mass produced. So nobody sits here and checks everything at the factories. They bolt these things together and set them down. So we'll get to be a little closer now. There's a few upgrades that, as we go through here, that I'll show you that I always do to every engine. Does not matter if it's a stock rebuild or not. They're just things that are wise to do, and we'll go over those as we do them. But what we want is a motor that will live for as long as humanly possible, and we do that by making sure we get everything the most correct as we can. So let me get set up here and I'll show you how we do clearances. Now I'm going to show you what I think is the most effective and most accurate way to measure for bearing clearance. We install our bearing, torque the cap down to the proper torque setting. Get you a good micrometer. Measure your crank with it. Get you a good dial bore gauge and set your dial bore gauge to zero with the micrometer. And then whatever this reads is going to tell you the clearance. All right, so I took a pause there for the calls. Did exactly what I said. A good measuring devices. I measured the first one. Turns out we do not have the correct bearings. Not main bearings anyway. The main bearings that we have, honestly, I don't know where the mix-up came in, but it's why you check them. We need 10-10 bearings, and we don't. The bearings we have are standard, and I don't know why they're standard. We'll call it a shipping error and move forward. Now, I have the correct rod bearings, but what we're going to have to do now is I'll put in the order for the correct bearings here momentarily, and we'll get the correct crank bearings coming, main bearings coming. This is why you measure. You never ever take stuff at face value. If I had just went by what was on the box, or what was on the packing slip rather, this thing would have had no oil pressure. It turns out this time that there was a shipping mistake. What the box says is there is not there. So, it's not the end of the world. What we'll do is we'll go ahead, we'll move on. We'll put the freeze plugs in, galley plugs in, all the oil plugs in, and then we'll go ahead and start putting the cam bearings in, and we'll get this thing dressed out, ready for the crank to go in. And I'll have the crank bearings here, the correct crank bearings here tomorrow. It's not really a big delay because all this other stuff had to get done anyway. My goal is to have this engine on a run stand by the weekend. This does not really change that goal just because we got the wrong part, because we can always go get the right part. That's not a big deal. But we'll go over some of the parts that we're going to put in this engine here. Now, you'll see a lot of stuff laid out right here. It's because honestly, I didn't want to believe it was the wrong one, so I took my measuring devices, just as I mentioned before, checked them. It didn't come up where I thought it should come up. So I pulled out some old school measuring tools, some calipers. I pulled out a bunch of stuff to verify. And after doing tons of measurements, it just
the bearings are 10 thousandths off. And I will not put together a motor that I'm not 100% confident in that it's right. So, and we will move forward with what we can do, and we'll go over some of the parts that are going in this engine. Let me go over some of that with you right now. So let's talk about some of the products that we're using in this engine. And of course, the customer will get a build sheet. Basic sealed power pistons, because this is supposed to be a stock-ish rebuild, or close to stock rebuild as we can get. But these are basic high protective pistons. Nothing fancy about these at all. Just kind of a stock replacement piston. The engine has been bored, and these are a good street piston. Nothing racy or over the top. Just a standard rebuild there, which is pretty much what the customer wanted, was just a stock rebuild. Of course, we got we have the 390 crank going in it, as of course we would. I've got a set of rods right there that's already been resized, and they're ready to go in it. Some of the other things, as you know, I'm a King man from the start, so all our bearings are King bearings. Do not let the issue with these mains deter you from the fact of how great quality King bearings is. It was a packaging mistake, nothing more. The quality of the bearing is a top-notch quality of bearing. So we had the proper rod bearings, we had the proper cam bearings. We just need to get replacement main bearings. Oil pumps, we have a Mellings oil pump, and you have heard some stories of lately of a hole being in them. I don't put anything together without inspecting it anyway. I still believe Mellings makes a great oil pump, so it's getting a Mellings oil pump. Some of the upgrades that I'm doing to this engine that you don't necessarily have to do, but I am doing them. The oil pump drive shaft, I'm running an ARP oil pump drive shaft. It never hurts to err on the side of caution and be safe. And let me show you the difference in those drive shafts. Let me get this out of the packaging real quick, because it's got to come out of the packaging and go in the motor anyway. So let me get this out of the packaging. She's in there. Some of the plastic is sticking to it here. You know what? Some of the plastic sticking to it, and I can get that off in just a second. But I want to show you comparison difference. This is a stock oil pump drive shaft. This is an ARP oil pump drive shaft. You can see the difference in them. I believe this is an upgrade that everybody should take the time to make to their engine. Though for some reason the little plastic is stuck to this one, so this one will probably go in the parts cleaner, even though it's new, because I'm not putting dirty parts in an engine. I'm just not doing it. So it is getting an upgrade oil pump drive shaft, a double roller timing chain that's going in it. Very good quality timing chain. Does it need it? No. What else have we got going on here? We're putting a Edelbrock Performer intake on it, aluminum intake, so it does have a nice intake. Cam and lifters, since the customer did want a stockish rebuild, customer did want a stockish rebuild. It is going to get a hydraulic flat tappet cam. Slow your roll. It's going to get a hydraulic flat tappet cam, and it's going to get a fairly decent cam. Slightly, so the customer wants a stock rebuild, but they want a little bit of performance, not a race car, but a little bit of performance. So what I'm going to do is use a stock, like a Cobra Jet or stock Ford performance grind is what's going to go in it. That way it would be more of a stock performance factory type engine. I have the specs for the cam that would have been in like the Cobra Jet engines. I have the specs for that. Probably going to go with that. I am going to look into that a little bit, but probably going to go with that. Lifters, we're going with Powell Machine Incorporated lifters. The PMI lifters are top-notch lifters. They have a little oil groove in them to promote even more oiling, so that we shouldn't have to worry about a cam failure. It's going to be the best stock-ish 390 that Ford would have produced. So I think I'd have to go back and look at the literature. I believe the better 390s were like 320 horse 390s. It's kind of what we're going for with this, is mid 300s range. Just a good street engine. Nothing over the top, nothing extraordinary, nothing that needs anything fancy. Just a good stockish 390 is what we're going for. And it should be a great engine for a truck, just to be a cruiser, and still have enough bottom end grunt if you wanted to pull your boat to the lake, you could. So that's where we're going with this one. Now, galley plugs, freeze plugs and all that, just a stock replacement style is all we're going to use. In my race engines, I don't use any plugs. I go through and tap all these holes and put pipe plugs in all of them. I've never seen any evidence that says that is even necessary on a race engine. No proof that one would ever come out. But somewhere, somebody's uncle's, third cousins, dog walkers, ex-wife's brother's mechanic had one blow out when he was jumping Coke bottles with his front tires back in '74. So since then, everybody taps these and puts pipe plugs in them. Now, I do that on race engines, but I do not do that on stock rebuild engines, because even if it was true, and even if it could happen, I don't see it happening on a stock motor that you're just cruising around and driving out back of the lake. So I use this stock replacement kit. Now, I do sell these kits at my shop too also. 78 Speed Shop, you can find it online. I do sell these complete kits that have all the plugs in them, including the proper cam plug back here. So now it's just all going through and popping all these in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 right here in the galley. Then there's one that goes right up through here, and it goes in behind the distributor right there. And then of course you've got 4 back here in the back that go in. So there's several there. Don't miss any of them. It will affect your oil pressure if you don't have them in it. Now, if you're doing this all the time, invest in a tool. But if you're not doing it all the time, simply set that right over the hole. Take your little homemade tool, give it a couple taps. That's done. Simple as that. It's really not hard to do. And if you can also use this to tap around on bigger ones or whatever, but it's really very simple, not much to it. Just give her a couple of love taps, and you'll know it when it bottoms out. It has a shelf in there that it sits down on, bottoms right out, really nothing to it. So that's all of those. Gets all your galley plugs in, then you're ready to start putting the rest of your engine together. Now, fortunately for us, of course, once we get all the freeze plugs in and all the galley plugs in, we're at a standstill till tomorrow when our correct main bearings get here. Unfortunately, that does kind of stop everything, because, well, now you can't put anything in the rest of it together because the crank has to go in before anything can. So that does cause an issue, but small shipping issue, but we can take care of it, because I'm lucky enough to have enough FE friends around that keep parts that I'll be able to just get some here tomorrow. Probably later this afternoon, actually, I'll have some here. So we'll be able to stay on track. Another thing when working on the engine, remember, especially like freeze plugs like these silver looking freeze plugs that were kind of a factory staple. Wipe the stuff off, people. If you're building a motor for somebody, especially, wipe stuff off. Wipe your nasty fingerprints off. Wipe all your goop off there. It may be just a motor to you, but this may be something somebody saved up for years to be able to do. So it's more than just a motor to them. It may be going in somebody's family heirloom. It may be going in somebody's grandpa's truck. It may be a gift for somebody. At least act like you care. Wipe stuff down, keep it clean so you can deliver them a clean engine. But it doesn't matter if it's your style, if it's something you like or not, it's what they want. So always treat your engine like you were building it for your kid, for your wife, brother, sister, whatever it is. And keep in mind that you would want to deliver them the cleanest, nicest product you could. So always clean as you go, especially these silver freeze plugs, because you'll leave fingerprints all over them just from touching them and when your hands are even clean. And that's another bonus. Your hands get to stay clean if you keep your work surface clean and you don't look like you've just spent 2 days trying to plug the Valdez leak with your thumb. So clean, keyword's clean. Deliver something that you can be proud of. Then you'll know they're proud of it. We'll get the rest of these freeze plugs in. So all the freeze plugs are now in, and I just had a rag in my hand. Sorry about that. All the freeze plugs are now in. Galley plugs are all in. We're literally waiting on the proper main bearings at this point, and I can continue with the motor. Now I will go ahead here in just a few minutes and bang the cam bearings in, but you've seen me do that on countless videos. There's really nothing more I can show you on putting cam bearings in. Proper tool, line up the holes, drive them in. Cam bearings is one of those repetitive things that doesn't matter what engine you've done it on all of them if you've done it on one. Push rod motor, that is. So it's really nothing new to see. So I'm gonna get to knocking those in. I'm gonna keep this video short and just show you that this is the start of a nice customer 390 engine. Technically, I think it's gonna be 396. I'd have to do the math. I think 396 cubic inches. For right now, this is gonna be the first installment. We'll probably do this over, say, 3 videos, maybe 4, because I know everybody doesn't have a long attention span, so I don't wanna make them real long videos, but either 3 or 4 videos. This video is just basically bearings and freeze plugs, how I measure the bearings, and it's a good thing we did, so we knew we had the wrong bearings. But yeah, we're gonna keep this video short, keep everybody's attention span involved, and maybe keep some of you invested so you'll come back and watch some more. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Stay tuned. You hit the little bell, you get notified when I do more on this. This video today, hopefully tomorrow, the video will be here with crank, rods, pistons, all that stuff. And then the third video, I guess we can do the top end. 4th video will be getting it ready to fire up. So let's just go with 4 videos in. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Hoping to do more on it in this video, but you know, we got to have the right parts. I'm not going to compromise on any step, and bearing clearances one of those things I'm anal about, and if it ain't right, it ain't right, and I ain't putting it together. So we'll get the bearing clearances straightened out. We'll be back for part 2. Y'all stay tuned. Hope the Lord bless you today more than he did yesterday. We'll see y'all next time.